Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it is Sunday night, and is the time when, by habit and by custom, I will review the past week and look at the week to come. And I'm mentioning this because this is what I introduced in the introductory video last week, and which I noticed only 5 people watched. Now, I'm not trying to promote myself as any kind of great TV star or audio wizard or broadcast wonder kid, but please, this is a method I use regularly to communicate with the entire class, and often it will contain important information about procedure, information about things we're going to do, things that you need in order to be completely successful in the course. So I know it may sound a little cynical, but everybody did a great job in participating. Everybody participated in the introductions and in the discussion board, but nobody looked at the announcement, and this always makes me wonder, what else are we looking at in the course? So please don't take that as a totally negative comment, just a little hint as to where information lies and where I think we can do better. And that's I'll keep doing this for you, and all I ask is you just take a quick look at it. Really, I will hardly ever exceed 10 minutes of your time in this video, but it may be the 10 minutes that explains the week to you, and I think it's important that we do that, so thank you very much. Okay, moving on to review of the introductory week. We had some very interesting conversations going, and one of the things you'll note is that when a good conversation gets going among students, I tend not to interfere. I want you to let it go and to participate. And as I said, if you had watched the video, learn from each other. That's what we're here to do, and I'm here more as the guide through what's going on. This is a 400 level course, and so it's not really to listen to me, it's to be guided and to go ahead and ask each other questions. You guys did a great job of that, and in so doing, I think we learned a lot about each other in the introductions, as we usually do in online classes, but also we had the chance in an opening brief discussion where in many cases I just get people listing 3 issues and nobody tends to comment back and forth. And this group, thankfully, you didn't do that. You went in and started talking amongst yourselves as to what you thought was important and why. And what I think you'll find is that a lot of the issues that you mention are already set up to be addressed throughout the progression of the course. These are things that we know are important, that we know drive the world of sport, to keep things in front of us, and that's where we're going to go. So yes, we'll talk about ticket pricing. Yes, we'll talk about athletes' compensation. Yes, we talk about paying college athletes. All these kind of things come up, and you know, it's that time of year when a lot of big time events are going to happen. My own sport of tennis that I coach, I went to the U.S. Open this week, which is the huge event in this country, and it just showed me how big that sport really is when I kind of get disappointed every once in a while and think that, boy, nobody cares about tennis anymore. And then I go to that event and say, well, there's a lot of money floating around and being invested in it. So what about some of the other sports? Then we listen to the problems that people talk about with health issues, concussion issues, for instance, in football, and the long-term health of that sport. We see, I flip on ESPN to try to find something to just watch at the end of the day, and I'm constantly amazed at the variety of world sport that's going on. World Cup qualifying is going on right now. Disastrous loss for the U.S., by the way, on Saturday. It was just really or Friday, excuse me, not a good day. What would that do to that sport if we don't qualify, if the U.S. doesn't qualify for the World Cup? What will that do? Will that delay the further growth of what we've seen as a tremendous expansion of interest in the world's most popular sport in this country? Or would that just be a blip and we'd go right on ahead of it? These are the kind of issues I want us to think about. So this week we're going to move ahead and start looking at some of the issues you identified and we've had in the course previously. And this week most of the material is about how do professional franchises operate. What do they do? How do they think of themselves as businesses? How do they operate as businesses? What their goals are, their methodologies, their reasons for existing. And it's very interesting, and I'm going to ask you two very similar questions at the end of the week. Should people regulate their profits? Should people put winning above all else? These are the kind of things we want to look at. Because some people say, well, winning begets profitability. Other people say, well, you have to be profitable before you can develop a winner. Look at the marketing considerations. You'll have some material in there that show you that how teams and what sources for teams, how they generate their revenue. And what do we have to be concerned about when we're managing those sources of revenue to achieve the optimum result? So these are the issues I think we really want to look at. Now, here's an administrative piece, which is why I'm really hoping you're watching this. The discussion board last week was great. I hope it continues that way. We'd also like to, perhaps this week, maybe next, let you know in an announcement, try something new in this course. As you know, this follows the asynchronous model, which means you can just jump in and do your work and read your material and do your discussions at any time during the unit, as long as you abide by the time periods and the deadlines of the course. Well, one of the things we've always said is, that's an advantage. But some people over the years have kind of looked at it and said, well, what if I could really talk to my classmates? What if I could really talk to the instructor? Well, we're going to try, and I'm going to have to do a little bit of logistic work when I get back on campus on Tuesday to see if we can set this up. But we're seriously thinking of trying to do a 1 hour, perhaps 2 hour a week time frame when people can actually jump in and we can have a live conversation. May have to do that through WebEx, may have to do that through some other technology. I'm not really sure how that goes, but if you would be interested in doing that, we can make it so that that's an option for you, that you could do that during the week instead of the written discussion board. Or if you prefer, just do the written discussion board. It's not going to be sitting around, a bunch of people sitting around talking about sports highlights for the week. It's going to be having a live discussion of sport economics with the same standards that we would have in a written online discussion board. So I wanted to get that out in front of everyone. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work, but stay tuned for some details. I hope if there are any questions, people can approach me. I was able to answer a few questions on the Ask the Instructor discussion board. That's where to ask procedural questions, things about the course. Are we going to study something? How are we going to do something? What's happening with the question here or there? Can I open this link? That's where you go with that. The rest of it was all great discussion amongst yourselves, and a few times I was able to throw in an extra question or two about the material for the week, and I think people really got the idea. That economic reasoning is what we were starting to talk about last week. The Babe Ruth example wasn't really about sport. It was really about the process of economic reasoning. Where could I get the most value, the most production from a valuable asset? In this case, a player who was highly skilled at two different things. Where did I allow or did I demand that player play so I could maximize that output? What was the greatest benefit to the team? And as you saw, Babe Ruth as a pitcher was worth one thing. As a hitter, he was worth something else. And most people and most casual baseball fans and those who maybe don't care know him as Babe Ruth, the home run hitter. Maybe never looked into the pitching career of Babe Ruth. So that was an example of economic reasoning. The other thing I really wanted to insist on was we understand the concept of rationality. And in some cases in sports, sometimes that model doesn't apply because we do things more emotionally in sports. And most buying decisions really aren't rational decisions. They're emotional decisions, and then we turn around and rationalize them and come up with all the reasons why all that money we just spent was a good idea. It's very interesting. Really, I had a argument, not an argument, a discussion with on-campus student on Thursday in this very same course, and as you can imagine, the conversation turned to the economics of the Mayweather-McGregor fight. And I did ask the class how many people bought the fight, how many people bought the pay-per-view. And when I asked this particular student who raised his hand saying, yeah, I bought it, I asked him, what did you buy? And he said, well, the pay-per-view package. I said, no, what did you buy? No, I bought the fight. No, what did you buy? I bought entertainment. Yeah, what did you buy? He said he bought the experience. Took 4 questions till we got there and said, yeah, I bought the experience. I said, was it worth $100? I don't know. I said, well, I didn't buy it. Here's the trade-off. You had a great experience. I got $100 that you don't have anymore. Those are the kind of questions economists ask and the way they think. And these are the ways I want you to think as the course progresses. Okay, so during the week, let's look at the material on sport franchise operations, profitability, sources of income, sources of revenue, and let's continue the good discussions. Let me know your opinions on the asynchronous model versus the synchronous live model. Let's see if we can pull this off. I think it might be a fun experiment to do, and I'm looking forward to a continuation of what was a great start. Thank you very much.